I never thought my first time on an e-bike would involve crossing the Appalachian Trail and witnessing the aftermath of a wildfire. But that's exactly what happened when I visited my sister in Pennsylvania. Hey everyone, it's Nancy from Making My Own Lane. And today I'm sharing a story about trying something completely new, spending time with family, and discovering just how much a landscape can change in a single year. I was visiting with my sister Amy in Pennsylvania last fall. We don't get to see each other as often as we'd like. She's busy with work, and I'm always on the road. So when we do get together, we try and make it count. Amy has been riding her e bike for about 2 years, and she kept telling me I had to try it. I'd seen e bikes around, but I had this idea in my head that they were heavy, hard to use, and maybe even a little dangerous.
Yeah, you feel good?
We wanted to try the D&L Trail Slatington Trailhead going north because it was close to my other sister, Sally's house, where I was staying for a month. We heard it has amazing views along the Lehigh River, was an easy trail to do, and was fairly flat. It follows a former railroad bed, and you can take the trail all the way up to Jim Thorpe. We enjoyed views of the Lehigh River and the steep slopes of the Kittatinny Ridge, as well as bog and pond habitats and an old airport.
So what is that next to us? On the other side of us, it looks like another trail.
We found some of the network of mountainside footpaths that link the D&L Trail to the ridge-running Appalachian Trail. The path actually intersects with the Appalachian Trail, which just gave this trail extra value. It's part of a larger 165-mile trail that runs through 5 counties and 100 municipalities. I've left a link to the map in the description if you ever find yourself in eastern Pennsylvania looking for an e-bike adventure. But there was something else we wanted to see too, something that had changed the landscape dramatically in the past year. Before we get into that, let me tell you about my first moments on this e-bike. Okay, so the first impression, it wasn't as heavy as I expected. The seat was comfortable, there was lots of space for storage, but I was nervous about the power. Amy gave me the basic rundown, how the pedal assist works, the different power levels, how to shift gears, and how the brakes work. I started pedaling, and wow, it was like someone was gently pushing me. I felt like I had superpowers, and I think I actually laughed out loud. What surprised me the most was how natural it felt, how much control I still had, and that I could choose how much assist I wanted. This wasn't some motorcycle or scooter. I was still pedaling, still working, but the e-bike was just helping, like having a really encouraging friend running alongside of you. As we rode, Amy kept checking on me, pointed things out, encouraging me to try different settings, and she explained why she chose the e-bike she had.
So these tires are good on gravel and they don't slide out from underneath you.
Yeah, and like that's the other thing you look for on an e-bike is get good tires. Don't get a mountain bike e-bike. Just get good wide tires with grooves, like a sports bike or something.
Because I would be honestly concerned on my scooter that it's going to slide out from underneath me.
Yeah, scooter tires are much different.
Because it's a little wet too. So this won't do that. Okay.
So you're definitely feeling more comfortable.
Yeah, it's like being on a bike.
There's something special about learning something new from your sister. She knows how to push you without being pushy. She remembers what scares you. You trust her in a different way. Plus, she volunteers in a bike shop on the weekends and really knows her stuff. The trail itself was mostly flat. It wound through a beautiful forest along the river. The trees were at the end of their fall peak season, but there was still a lot of color up in the mountains. The weather was cool and overcast with a chance of rain when we started out. We didn't see a whole lot of other riders on the trail, but there were a lot of friendly people out walking their dogs.
Morning.
And I was actually keeping up. More than keeping up, I was enjoying this. And then we came to the Appalachian Trail crossing. I had to stop and take it in. It was marked with this iconic sign. I've always wanted to hike parts of the Appalachian Trail, and here I was at 60 plus years old on my first e-bike ride, crossing one of America's most famous trails. It reminded me that adventure doesn't have an age limit. It felt symbolic somehow, crossing paths with all these hikers while I was on my own journey. The trail represents challenge and perseverance, and here I was trying something challenging too. But as Amy and I kept riding, we were able to see the effects of a forest fire from when I was here last fall, and it brought back some scary memories.
No, it came from over near Sally's house.
I noticed darker tree trunks, missing canopy, different vegetation, and even some burnt rocks. I remember how the highway along the path we were riding on was closed and how the fire jumped the highway and even the river. The Blue Mountain at Lehigh Gap fire had burned almost 600 acres, closed roads for days, and threatened homes and farms, but amazingly, no homes or livestock were lost. It took 7 days for the fire to be 100% contained. What struck me was the clear line between the burned and unburned areas, how some trees survived while others didn't, the contrast between destruction and recovery. You could see exactly where the fire had stopped. Nature doesn't blur those lines. It's stark, honest, and dramatic. And here's what was really interesting. Even a year later, you could already see new growth pushing through, green shoots among the black, wildflowers that only grow after fires, and young saplings. The forest was healing itself. This wasn't destruction, it was also transformation. I found myself thinking about how we all go through fires in our lives and how starting over isn't the end of the story. The forest wasn't gone. It was different, yes. Changed, absolutely. But it was still here, still beautiful in its own way, and already growing toward what it would become next. There's something about witnessing this kind of recovery firsthand that you just can't get from reading about it or seeing pictures. Being here, riding through it, seeing the scale of it, and remembering my feelings about experiencing a fire less than a half a mile from where I was staying at my sister's house, it was humbling. It put things in perspective. Yet it reminded me that change isn't always gentle, but it can still lead somewhere good. As we headed back, I realized that I'd completely forgotten to be nervous about the e-bike and was thinking about all the places I could ride on my travels if I had one. The e-bike had just become the tool, not the focus. It had stopped being about the bike and started being about the experience. Seeing this place, spending time with my sister, witnessing this landscape story. On the way back, Amy asked if I was tired. She commented on how well I was doing while we continued to find more interesting landmarks. And I realized that I wasn't tired like I would have been on a regular bike. If it had been a little warmer, we could have kept going for miles along this trail, and I understood why she loved this. Here's what I learned that day. The e-bike didn't make the experience less authentic or less meaningful. If anything, it made it more accessible. It meant I could cover more distance and see the burn area. I could keep up with my sister and actually talk. I could focus on the surroundings instead of being exhausted. And I could try something new without being intimidated by my age or fitness level. And spending that time with Amy, it reminded me what matters. Why this special time I occasionally get to spend with my sisters is so important. She didn't just let me borrow her e-bike. We explored a new trail, stopped a lot to enjoy the beauty and peacefulness, and had a shared experience I won't forget. The forest is still recovering from that fire. It will take years, maybe decades, before it looks like it did before. But it's not trying to go back to what it was. It's becoming something new. Kind of like all of us, really. We go through hard things, things that change us, and we don't return to who we were before. We become something different, something that carries the story of what we survive. That was my first time on an e-bike. Easier than I expected, and it opened up a whole new way of travel for me. I've learned that trying new things doesn't have an age limit. The right tool can open up new possibilities, and that sometimes the best adventures are the ones we share with people we love. I want to hear from you. Have you tried an e-bike? What surprised you about it? Or maybe you have a story about trying something new with a family member. Drop it in the comments. I read all of them, and I love hearing your stories. Thanks for riding along with me today. At Making My Own Lane, this is what we do. We try new things, we explore, we tell stories from the road. If you're curious about the exact bike I used and whether I'll be adding an e-bike to my own lane permanently, Hit that subscribe button. My full in-depth review is coming at the end of January. I'll see you next week.